Thanks for joining me today. Today we're going to talk about SecureDocMan. We're going to provide a walkthrough demo. What we're going to cover here are a few of the settings that you will need to configure, and we're also going to walk through what a typical workflow would look like to the users. So to get started here, I just wanted to give you a brief introduction to this dashboard. We do have a tour that you can take that will walk you through all the different aspects of the dashboard and some of the important links on the page. So I encourage you to step through that when you first log in. The first task that we're going to do today is we're going to actually edit our company settings. So to do that, we're going to visit the settings company page. We're going to edit this walkthrough demo company. The first setting we're going to look at here is called the default user permission. Now what this does is it determines what a default user permission will be for every user in the system, for every document in the system. So as a use case, let's say you want every user in the system to be able to write documents and update documents regardless of who owns them. So I would set this to write, and that would mean that anytime a new document was added, all the users of the system would be able to edit that document unless they were specifically overridden by the individual document permissions. So I'm going to set mine to read so that every user will have a default permission of read. I'm also going to add a metadata template, and this is a good way of adding custom data to your documents, and each one of these metadata fields that you add is completely searchable. So I'm just going to add one here called color. We're going to leave it as a checkbox, but we could also add a radio selection. We could add a multiple select, a single select list, a text box, or even a date field if you wanted to have a calendar date field for each document. For the collection, it's just a comma separated list of values, and so for this particular checkbox, we're going to offer red, green, and blue options, and the default we're going to set to green. All right, I'm going to update these settings here. All right, so now the next thing we want to do is we probably want to create a group. I know that we're going to have a legal group for our company, and so I'm just going to go ahead and set that now. All right. Let's create a user now. So this is going to be a new user in our system that is just a normal user, and I'll talk about the user roles here in a second. So we're going to call him Joe User. All right. Now as far as roles go, the system does have 3 separate roles that a user can be configured to. You, as a creator of the company, a creator of the main account, you are a company super user, so you can do everything in the system, including editing the company settings that we just saw. A company admin has access to changing folders, changing users, changing things like that, but they do not have access to the actual company settings. And then a normal user is someone who does not have the ability to update, like create a new folder or add new groups or anything like that. So just a normal user adding, uploading, downloading documents. As far as groups go, we're going to assign this user to the legal group, and we are going to set his time zone. Here we go. Okay. So now that the user's created, we're going to go ahead and create a couple of folders here. Folders are used to help organize your documents, to make them organized similar to what you would see in your file system. It's also very helpful to search. You can find all documents that are in a specific folder, for example. And there's also a document tree view that we have on the dashboard that is based on these folders. So first we're going to create a new root level folder, and we're going to just call this legal, and we're going to make this our default folder. What a default folder is anytime a document is uploaded and a folder is not specifically chosen by the user, it will just be pre-selected to go into your default folder, which happens to be, in this case, the legal folder. We're going to add a subfolder to this, and we're going to call this HR. Okay. All right, now I think we're ready to start with our workflow setup. In standard plans or higher, you have quite a number of workflows you can create. We'll talk here about what a workflow is. So creating a workflow allows you to create an individual review process. Each workflow is its own separate flow, and each workflow will contain one or more stages of that workflow. A stage is really just kind of a step in the process. So you may have an approval process that goes through multiple departments. It may just go through multiple individuals, starting with the very first person and passing its way through the company to the last reviewer. So a workflow is really just a container for each of those stages. And so we will create one called content review, and this will be our first review workflow. And then for a stage, we're just going to call it stage 1, and we're actually going to put Joe user as a user in this stage. Okay, so we're going to create that workflow, and we're going to add another one, and this particular workflow is going to be called legal review. And again, we're going to add a stage 1, and this time we're going to assign Joe Test as the reviewer for stage 1 of the legal review workflow, and create that workflow. All right, so now we have a couple of workflows ready to go. The next thing we want to do is let's start adding some documents. So as you can see, we have no documents yet, so I'm going to click on the new document button. Let's find a good document here to upload. And let's see, description and comment, these are searchable. In fact, all of these fields are pretty much searchable here. So for description, you're free to enter whatever text you would like. And here we have a comment field. Now for the owner will be notified anytime a file of theirs gets updated by someone. In this particular case, we're going to leave it as Joe Test. Now we have the ability to add custom tags or reuse existing tags. So I'm going to create a new tag called API and a new tag called TRP. And those are just really kind of a way of grouping files together in a similar tag. And so I could search for API and it would show me all documents that are tagged with the API keyword. Metadata, this is our field we added called color. And I'm going to go ahead and change this to red only. Here is our workflow selection. So for this particular document, we're going to put it into both workflows. So on a Mac, you would do Command click, or on a Windows machine, you could do Control click to select both reviews. We want this document to go through either one of these reviews. So if one finishes, no matter which one it is, the document will be live. All right, and here we go. We're going to change this to be in the HR folder. We're going to leave the user access control for Joe Test to admin, and we can see here that the default is read. So any other users in the system that aren't specifically, listed in here will inherit the read permission. And then we're going to go ahead and assign legal with the group legal with write permission. So anybody in the legal group can write this file, everybody else can read this file, and anybody listed in here would have their specific permission on that file. We're going to create the document now, and it's uploading it to the cloud. All right, so now that the document has been uploaded, this is the details page for the document record itself. And as you can see, there's lots of information here on the status of the document, the details, the metadata. We also notice now that we have this pending review section, so we can see exactly what we're waiting for. It looks like we're currently in stage 1 in content review and in stage 1 on legal review. We can see our custom metadata. We can also see real quickly which users have access to the file, and we also can see if we have any group access control. Down below here we have the file versions list, and because this is the initial revision and it has yet to be approved, we don't really have a downloadable version for end users yet, so we have no link here to download. Okay. So let's see, let's go to look at the list of documents here. This is where your documents will show up if you have a view permission or higher. And as you can see here, it's telling us that it's in review. And so we would need to review this document. There are also some batch actions here on this page and on other pages. For this particular page, we have a batch action that will allow us to delete multiple files, update the folder for multiple files, and update the owner for multiple files. Now in this case, what we really want to do is we want to get this document reviewed, and because we're an administrator, or if we happen to be logged in as someone in stage 1 of either of these particular workflows, we would see this My Reviews button. And so I'm going to click on that. We can see now we have 2 different reviews happening, and again, because of the way this company is set up, if either or gets completed, then the document will be approved. There's also an option in the preferences where we can set it to make each required, so the document would not be fully approved until every workflow that was assigned to it was run through and completed through all stages. So I'm just going to go ahead and click this content review stage here. We're going to, you would click the download button here, view the document, make sure it looks good, and then you can approve it here with a comment or without a comment. I'm going to go ahead and approve it, and now because we only have one stage, that document is now live, and it's going to show up in the list. So now what we would typically do, a user would log into the system that has access to this document, it can edit it, so they would have write permission, and they would come in here and check this document out. So checking out a document forces it into a locked state so that we can ensure that no one is going to update this document record while we're trying to update it. We're going to go ahead and edit it. Now in the editor, you can update any of the metadata available. You can also upload a new revision of this document. It's not necessary to update a new revision. You can just simply come in here and change one of the metadata values and update it that way. Check it back in, and for this particular type of change, it's now complete. We can now see that the document is back as active again. If you were to check this document out and you wanted to actually add a new version, we could come in here and upload a new file, and now this document will be put into the workflow approval process again because we made a physical change to the document. So once we check it in, we're going to see the reviews button again. It's in review, and we would essentially repeat the same process that we just went through. Alright, and so now that document has been approved and it's available to be downloaded. The other important feature is the audit log. So this audit log is a list of all the actions that have taken place in the system. You can use this filter over here in order to check for certain, like if we search for AMP, we'll see all actions related to AMP. If we wanted to search for a message only, we can search for that. So that's kind of how this filter system works here, and this filter is available on numerous pages in the system. And then lastly, we'll talk briefly about this dashboard. Depending on whether you're an end user or an administrative user, you'll see different things showing up in this dashboard. And then everyone's going to see this document tree view. And so this is a representation of your folders and your documents. And so if you drill down through legal and HR, you can see that we have this file here, and if I click on it, it takes me to the file details page. So that's it for this walkthrough. Let us know if you have any questions. You can always send us an email to support@securedocman.com and fire away any emails you need to. All right, thank you very much.